Hi guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Honor Band 5. Now this wearable can be found for around £30 in the UK to around $40 in the US. Links will be down in the description below in case you're interested, including a link to Honor's site as well, where you can find a full list of its specifications and whatever have you. Now in the box what you'll find is the wearable itself, a charging dock and a short micro USB to USB Type A cable. Now what I did find in terms of the actual charging cradle is that sometimes a little bit hard to figure out which way round it goes, simply because you kind of have to line it up. You will get kind of the hang of it once you start using it a little bit more, but it's just worth bearing in mind that the charging cradle itself is a little bit of a pain to use. Now the charging cradle itself charges the band in about, I would say, 0 to 100% in around 2 hours. Now the beauty of that is the fact that the actual wearable itself has a fantastic battery life. I tested it for over 3 weeks now, and I found that within 2 weeks it didn't lose battery. Now that was with the heart rate sensor and the SpO2 meter readings disabled. However, still with that in mind, it meant that it was running for around 2 weeks, which is absolutely incredible. Honor states that it's got about 6 days of battery life if you do use all the services that this little wearable offers. So now moving on from that, let's talk about the actual size of the thing. So from the edge band to this other edge of the band, it's around 23 odd centimeters, which you might think is quite long, but that does mean that it's going to fit every type of wrist. As you can see, there's so many little lugs, I think they call it, around the wearable, to the point where no matter the size of your wrist, you're going to find it to be comfortable. Better still, the actual wearable itself is very lightweight. It's around 22 to 23 grams, so very lightweight. And in terms of the thickness as well, something that really bothers me with most wearables, this one is actually around 11 millimeters, which is very thin considering all other ones. So this is how it looks like on my wrist. So it doesn't seem overly big, and given the fact of its size and portability, it means that it's actually really comfortable to wear. Now in terms of style-wise, it is feels like a bit of a cheap wearable, simply because it's made out of all plastic and it's got kind of like a rubbery material, silicone material, but it's to be expected. What I do like, however, is the fact that the band is available in 3 different colors. You've got black, the navy-ish blue that you've got in front of me, in front of you as well, and the pink color, so you can choose between them. Apparently the bands are also removable, but I would just suggest sticking to the one that you actually buy and actually keep, and given the fact that it's a £30 wearable, it seems pretty obvious. Now the wearable itself is operated pretty much through this one kind of touch sensitive button. Once you activate it, you will be able to see the actual time or your watch face that you've chosen. As you can see, it does pretty much go black pretty quickly, and it does have a lift to raise feature as well. As you can see, it does pick it up, and I must say I had no problems in terms of raising to wake each time I had it. Now of course you can disable that in order to save battery, so worth bearing in mind, and I'll show you the app in just a second. Now in terms of the actual user interface, it's actually very intuitive. If you scroll up or down, it will go through the different the settings. Now you've got a music control over here, which finds unknown artist, but yet I was able to control my music on the fly, and I use power amp, and I've got an Android phone. I had no problems using it. This kind of triggered after I had a recent update with the Honor Band 5, and it allowed me to do it. There's also volume control, which is very small, but it actually does work. I mean, I'll just try and show you my Galaxy S10 Plus at the background. If I adjust it, it does have a little bit of a lag, but it does adjust the volume. As I said, it's a very small button, small side part of the screen to hit, but it does work. So moving on from that, you've got all the different sort of options. You've got messages, which you can go through. You can go through your workout, you can go through the sleep settings, the SpO2 measure, you've got the heart rate monitor as well, your step counter, and then moving back to the watch face. Now what's quite interesting is within the more settings, you can actually do quite a lot of different things. So for example, I have a stopwatch, you can change the faces of the actual wearable, you can find your phone, so you can, as long as you set the app, which is the Huawei Health app, then what you'll find is that you can find my phone as well, where it'll kind of ping your phone. So there is different amounts of settings over here, and I like the fact that you can actually scroll through them, actually control them directly from the wearable without having to need your watch. Moving on from that, it's also worth bearing in mind the notifications. So the notifications, hopefully they kind of show up, but they do take a little bit of time in terms of how you show up. It is quite small, so you can see over here there is like a small notification and the written text. Now this is the only kind of limitation with this wearable, is that it is very simplistic. It allows you to see your notifications, but you can't reply to them or do anything like that, whereas with other wearables you can directly reply to them, have a call or whatever you want to do. So it's just worth bearing in mind that this is kind of like a hey, this is your notification that you got on your phone. In terms of notifying you, you can adjust the settings, but in my case I had it to vibrate, and the vibration is kind of like a little quick vibrate, and therefore allows me to quickly look at glance at my notifications as to when I have them. Now going on from that, let's actually talk about the accuracy of it. So what I did is I worked out and also walked around with it as well, and I found that the step counter is pretty much bang on accurate. It's really impressive. Then the SpO2 one, it's quite hard to verify that because I don't have anything to actually verify how this would compare to like a professional SpO2 meter, but nevertheless it's just something worth bearing in mind. I can't lie to you guys to tell you that. Then you've got also the heart rate monitor, which I compared to what I've got at my GP, which is a doctor's in the UK, and it feels that it was pretty much bang on accurate versus an actual machine which the GPs use. So it seemed pretty much bang on. Now the thing is, I wasn't really too impressed with the sleep activity monitor. It just didn't really appeal to me that much, and it didn't really seem to do that great of a job. Plus on top of that, I don't really like wearing a wearable at night, so it's not something I'm gonna overly use or comment on, but it's just worth bearing in mind it does have like a sleep tracker on there as well. So now we'll just move on to the actual app as well, because that's quite important. Now the app itself, you've got different amounts of watch faces. Now the watch faces are only available on an Android device, so it's worth bearing in mind. But in terms of what you get, you've got plenty of different watch faces to choose from. Hopefully it'll load up in time, but nevertheless you'll need internet in order to access them. You can install them and pretty much ping them across to your to the wearable, and it'll be pretty much instantaneous in order to go to them. Now what I should mention is the watch face. It's worth bearing in mind that you don't want too much text on it, simply because the actual watch face, the actual screen size is 0.95 inch, which is really small. So you want something that's kind of clear. You can see mine is just pretty much like the block timing. Moving on from that, you've got different amounts of like settings that you can go through. So for example, like an activity reminder to remind you to kind of stand up. Continuous heart rate monitoring, you can see I've disabled that. That was purely to kind of save on the battery life. Notifications, you can enable them per app as well. Weather reports, if you want them to be enabled or not. Music playback controls, as I mentioned before. Raise to wake screen, that's again I mentioned. Rotate to switch screen, not something I would personally recommend, but you know, your mileage may vary. Other than that, you can also see the battery life, which is currently at 91%, and the fact that it is connected. You can also, through the app, you can also go and see how you are doing. You can click through the different settings and see how you've done throughout the day. So be it from the heart rate, so you can see I haven't taken it for a while, to the actual sleep monitor, to the exercise record, for example. You can see I haven't set an exercise on here. And then over here, you can see how much you've been walking and kind of get a little bit of graph on them. So it's useful. The app is useful. And the fact that you can load this up to the cloud as well, the Huawei cloud, means that if you do move device, you can always have that data always with you. So in terms of the app and the integration, I have no problems whatsoever. It pairs pretty much instantaneously over Bluetooth. Now, in terms of another feature, this is a water-resistant, waterproof, shall I say, and swim-proof wearable, which means that you can take it swimming and you can go down up to 50 meters if you so wish with it. So it's rated for that, which is fantastic, meaning that yes, you can take it on swims. You can put it in, you can take it when you're going on a shower as well, and you're not going to have any sort of issues in that respect. So other than that, in terms of battery life, the other things that I mentioned, there's not really much else to comment on. As I said, it's pretty simple in terms of notifications. But what I would say is that for the price, I think you'll struggle to find a better wearable than the Honor Band 5. It's pretty simplistic, but it does all the job really well. It's really affordable, and on top of that, it's got plenty of features built in, and its AMOLED display looks fantastic, no matter in terms of the light conditions that you've got. So in my room right now, it's really bright, and yet it picks it up very easily and it's very easy to read. So there we go. That's pretty much been my unbiased, unpaid review. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, favorite and share if you feel that this might be helpful to someone. And on top of that, let me know in the comments below what you make of the wearable. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care and bye bye.